Report Network has a new and exclusive line of clothing. First up, the Jiu-Jitsu Rash Guard. This isn't just gear, it's a statement. A commitment to eco-friendly battles on the mats and waves. And for those who live by the bold champion spirit, we have something special. A line for men and women designed not just for the fight, but for life. Wear our bold champion spirit of Jiu-Jitsu Rash Guard confidently. Its striking design with golden figures in combat honors the enduring spirit of competition in martial arts. Pair it with our unisex mesh shorts, the perfect combo of style, comfort, and eco-conscious design for the modern warrior. And don't forget, our Jiu-Jitsu Bold Champion Spirit leggings. This attire is expertly engineered to channel the champion spirit in every move you make. Together, it's not just about looking good. It's about feeling the part and living the Jiu-Jitsu way, both on and off the mats. Meticulously crafted for the yoga studio, the gym, and beyond, blending style, comfort, and the heart of a champion. Wear your passion, embody sustainability, and elevate your practice. Join the league of athletes who wear their values as proudly as their belts. It's more than clothing, it's a way of life. Ringside Report Network, where champions dress for success, sustainability, and the spirit of the sport.
Attention to all professional wrestling fans and followers of the legendary Johnny Genesis North. We are releasing a must-have collection of Johnny North merchandise in our store at merch.ringsidereport.net, starting with our limited edition Johnny Genesis North 3/4 sleeve t-shirt. With a unique design capturing Johnny in action, this tee exudes raw energy and intensity through its versatile 3/4 sleeves for any weather. Stand with our legendary co-host, Johnny North. Make a bold statement in the wrestling community by getting yours today, exclusively at merch.ringsidereport.net.
Get ready to amp up your betting game with Ringside Report Network's latest knockout offer. We've teamed up with our pals at Bet99.com to bring you something that will shake up the betting world. Dave's Picks with boosted odds. Here's the lowdown. Normally you see odds like -200 over at Bet99, right? Picture this. We hit up our buddies at Bet99 and worked out some magic. Suddenly those odds? They're looking a whole lot sweeter at -150. That's right, and we're all about getting you those exclusive, juiced-up odds, only for the Ringside Report universe. So here's the game plan. We dish out the picks, and you keep those eyes peeled. You might see a number on Bet99, but hold up. Wait until Saturday morning rolls around. Thanks to those boosted odds we've snagged for you, those numbers will look much better. I'm all for Bet99 doing great, but let's not kid ourselves. We want to win big too. It's all in good fun, and hey, it's part of the thrill of the game. They're in on it, and we're in on it. It's all about having a blast while pocketing some extra cash. Ready to take advantage of those boosted odds? Go to the special Ringside Report Bet99 link on your screen. We're all about seeing how much we can boost the odds for you, our loyal viewers. And a huge thank you to Bet99 for their support of the Ringside Report Network.
Yes, indeed. This is the AEW Dynasty post show on the Ringside Report Network. Let's get right into it.
Start.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to the show. I am here. Thank you for joining us on a Monday night. This is happening more and more. You're joining me on a Monday night to review a late Sunday night wrestling show, and I like it. Gives us a little bit of time to digest the action, watch the press conference afterwards, and get a good understanding of where the wrestling company may be going. We did it for night 2 of WrestleMania. We did the recap show on a Monday, and we've got the AEW Dynasty recap show here on a Monday as well. WWE is going to be giving us some Saturday pay-per-views coming up in May, Backlash and King and Queen of the Ring, both Saturday afternoon, so that'll be a different look. We're keeping it fresh. We're keeping it wrestling on the Ringside Report Network, as we always do. Professional wrestling, big event last night. We had to cover it. I am rolling solo here today. I feel like I've been rolling solo on the wrestling beat a lot lately. My man Johnny has some other obligations, but Dave is always here. Dave is always watching, and Dave is always here to talk to you about professional wrestling. AEW Dynasty went down last night in St. Louis, Missouri. A solid pay-per-view from All Elite Wrestling. We saw some incredible matches, including one that may be match of the decade, match of the year, I would say certainly so far, and one of the best professional wrestling matches you will ever see. Of course, I'm talking about Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. There was no doubt that this match was going to be a classic. We just wondered, how good could it be? How good could this possibly be? We've got Will Ospreay, we've got Bryan Danielson, all the makings of a bona fide classic. And that's exactly what we got, and then some. It wasn't just a classic. It had some people saying it was the greatest match to ever take place in North America. I think those were the words of Dave Meltzer, who's seen a lot of pro wrestling, who some people say is biased towards AEW. Nevertheless, the guy made an assessment and deemed that match the greatest match he'd ever seen take place in North America. I don't think that it is, for me, at that level, but it is definitely, it's going to be in my top 10 all-time great wrestling matches. I don't see how it isn't. It's very easy to give you my match of the night last night. It's Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay. And that doesn't mean that we didn't have some other matches that were incredible. The Young Bucks FTR tag team match, unbelievable. Kazuchika Okada versus Pac, amazing. Swerve Strickland and Samoa Joe, fantastic. Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa, phenomenal. We had some great matches last night at AEW Dynasty. But I don't think any of them were Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay, and that's just a fact. AEW were the best wrestle, and indeed they did last night. I thought the pay-per-view was fantastic. As far as an in-ring product, professional wrestling between the ropes, you can't really ask for much better than what AEW Dynasty gave you last night. Maybe the pacing could have been different. The structure of the pay-per-view could have been a little bit different. The build to some of these matches, some of the heat that was lacking could have made this pay-per-view a perfect 10. But it's going to get a pretty high score for me. I want to know your scores on 10. Was there a match that you thought was better than Ospreay Danielson? I would love to know your opinion. Maybe I know I'm not the only one, but I'm sure there are some people out there. There's got to be somebody out there that said, I thought that Young Bucks FTR match was better. I'd be surprised. But there's always a dissenting opinion among the wrestling fans. Shout out to some great guys on the chat right now. Angelo Contagonis, Kyle Salisbury. Nice to see Kyle Salisbury live on a Monday night, member of the team. Doug Hepburn as well. Doug checking in live. Thank you for the nice comments on the show Friday night, Doug. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Rolling solo is, it's never that easy, but always fun. Always a good time on the Ringside Report Network. Shout out to all the members that support us. Kyle Salisbury, Angelo Contagonis, Patrick Deneau. Good evening, Patrick. Doug Hepburn, of course, longtime supporter of the Ringside Report Network. So many supporters, so many members on the chat tonight. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this AEW Dynasty post-show. So my match of the night, obviously, Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay. Score on 10. You guys have a score on 10? I'm giving it an 8.5. It would have been a solid 8, maybe a 7.5, but that Bryan Danielson-Will Ospreay match took it over the top. It's not a perfect 10 because I thought by the end of the show, the crowd was kind of tired. They had seen so much. They didn't have that much left for Swerve and Joe. They just didn't. They had been through it. You gave them Ospreay, Danielson, FTR, Bucks back-to-back. You might want a buffer match in there. Let the crowd calm down. Maybe get a bathroom break. Maybe get a drink so they could get ready and get hyped up for the main event. They didn't give us a buffer match. They just gave us banger after banger after banger. However, I think that the final banger left fans kind of maybe didn't appreciate it as much because they were not as loud for Swerve and Joe as they were for the other matches. So I think you lose points because of that. I think you lose points because the build on some of these matches was kind of lackluster. A lot of them, they announced the matches early and then they stumbled to the finish. I thought the Danielson-Ospreay build wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't the build and the heat and the story that the match deserved. But nevertheless, the pay-per-view delivered because the in-ring content delivered. Because Tony Khan is maybe not a great booker, maybe not a great story man, but he is very good at giving us dream matches that we want to see. He's very good at saying, oh, these two guys would have a hell of a match. Let's put them in the ring together. Wrestling fans will be happy, and we are. When Tony Khan announced Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay, or AEW announced it, or whoever announced it, Tony Khan made it. When it was made, I said, yeah, good job, Tony Khan. This is fantastic. He's good at making big matches. He's good at making cool matchups. Pac and Okada, incredible matchup. Very cool, very nice. Not something I was thinking about. All of a sudden, he gives it to us. I'm like, yeah, that's great. Give me that. So I feel like Tony Khan, good matchmaker, not so much a booker. Different things. I feel like the build to some of these matches didn't quite hit. I thought Joe and Swerve, the angle was hotter on the last pay-per-view with Hangman. The angle going into this one, they kind of stumbled to the finish. But in the end, we do have a new AEW World Champion in Swerve Strickland, which was a pretty cool moment to cap off the pay-per-view. And the match was good. The match was very good. Kyle Salisbury says it's an 8 for him. Patrick Deneau says, I didn't see the pay-per-view. I was working. I get it. Doug Hepburn says, Dave, when I listen to Cornette, it's fine. Good background noise. I listen to you guys. I listen. If I miss 2 minutes, when I get distracted, I always rewind. Great shit, pals. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Kyle Salisbury says, I could care less about the Young Bucks, so personally it lost points for them. Wow. The main event for the title felt like an afterthought. Exactly. It did. If the title was a bigger match, I would have given it a 9.5. Yep, I think so. I think that's a fair assessment. Doug Hepburn, 8.5 on 10. I'm giving it an 8.5. Kyle giving it an 8. We're seeing high numbers for this pay-per-view, though. This was a very solid effort from AEW. New pay-per-view, first ever AEW Dynasty. I think they knocked it out of the park. I mean, a perfect 10. Anything above a 7 is really good in my books. We watch a lot of these pay-per-views. Very few of them hit an 8. This is an 8.5. We had a match with Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay that was match of the year. And people are saying match of the century, match of the, people are throwing all sorts of superlatives on this match. I am going to tell you straight that it's match of the year so far in April. I mean, I'm going to be fair. There was not a match at WrestleMania that was better than this. There was not. I thought the match of the weekend at WrestleMania was Bayley and Io Sky. They still have the best women's match of the year, but Ospreay and Danielson just beat them. And I think they'd be okay with that. Those guys are pretty good. Bryan Danielson, greatest wrestler of all time. Will Ospreay, greatest wrestler living today. Greatest wrestler in his prime today. And those two had a ridiculous match. The bumps were crazy. Ospreay rebounding off the second rope, looking for the Oz cutter. Bryan Danielson soaring through the air, hitting the knee directly in Ospreay's face. Unbelievable connection. The strikes were heavy. The bumps were risky. The action was fast-paced. It was beautiful sequences. Will Ospreay style, flipping around, kicking, dodging kicks. Beautiful sequences, Bryan Danielson style. Hybrid wrestling, technical wrestling. Unbelievable tiger suplex from Bryan to Ospreay, super suplex off the top rope. And then, of course, the finish. Will Ospreay, a nasty tiger driver, bam! Drops Bryan right on his back. They sold it like it was his neck and head. It was his upper back. And then the referee goes, "Oh, doctor, come check. Bryan's hurt." It's a work injury. Bryan's not actually hurt. He's okay. This is a story, and I think it's going to build towards another match with Ospreay and Danielson, which is cool. And then Ospreay doesn't see that Bryan's hurt. Bam! Hits him with the hidden blade. Bryan's all busted up. 1, 2, 3. Ospreay wins. Amazing finish. Emotion. Sets you up for more down the road between the two. Bryan's injured. Ospreay hurt him, but he feels bad. He feels so bad at the press conference, he says he's going to retire the move that hurt Bryan because it's just too dangerous. And he doesn't want to do that to Bryan because he loves him and he respects him. A beautiful story told. Unbelievable action. Post-match drama. Phenomenal. 10 out of 10 for a match. Perfect match. You can't ask better than that for a wrestling match. You can't find fault in that. Another masterpiece from the great Bryan Danielson. He's so good. It's crazy how good he is. And Will Ospreay, I have been saying for years that he's the best guy going. He is gonna be the number one wrestler in the world one day, and everybody's gonna recognize it. And I think we're almost there. When I first started watching him in New Japan, I said, "Oh, this guy, yeah, he's the best." I saw him wrestle Kushida. I saw him wrestle the Ticking Time Bomb. There's so many great matches that he had early when he was wrestling as in the Super Juniors, right? As a junior heavyweight in New Japan. And I remember seeing Ospreay back then and thinking, "Oh, this guy he's going to be the number one wrestler in the world one day." And I feel like he's getting to that point. He's creeping there. He's creeping to the point where all of wrestling says, "Yep, that's the number one." It's nice to see. He's been the number one for a while. He has been. It's nice to see this guy get his flowers, get the spot on top of the business. Brilliant match. So Ospreay beats Bryan Danielson. Match of the night. I'm giving this pay-per-view an 8.5 on 10. Because not just that match, but Young Bucks and the FTR in the ladder match, those guys went all out. Phenomenal match. Great action. Big bumps. Exactly what you would expect from a Young Bucks FTR ladder match. Young Bucks doing everything, taking crazy bumps on the ladders. FTR too. Dax bleeding. It was a pile driver that Matt Jackson took on the ladder from Dax. That was just devastating. Fantastic match. And the Young Bucks, of course, get help from the scapegoat Jack Perry, who reemerges in AEW after all the CM Punk drama and showing the footage and talking about Jack Perry. You figured that Jack Perry was going to make himself known in AEW. He was going to return, and he did, stopping the FTR from winning the match and helping the Young Bucks become the new AEW Tag Team Champions. It was cool, and now you have the Young Bucks probably aligning themselves with Jack Perry going forward and Kazuchika Okada, which makes for a pretty strong and detestable group. Kazuchika Okada still AEW Continental Champion, right? That's what it's called. They gave Okada a belt. It's the Continental title. He defeats Pac in the opening match, and it was amazing. That match was so good. I go, how are they going to top this? I mean, I know we got Bryan and Ospreay coming up, but Okada and Pac just wrestled, and they went all out. They tore the house down. They went 20-plus minutes. That match was so good, I was thinking maybe it would be match of the night when it was all said and done. And as the night went on, it was starting to feel more and more like that. Okada and Pac started the night off real strong. Great match for the AEW Continental title. Okada wins, beats Pac with the Rainmaker. And then we had a trios match. It was the House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews getting the win over Edge, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe. And this match just kind of was not my favorite. It was a little long for my liking. Yeah. 6-man tag, nothing on the line. Didn't do it for me on pay-per-view. Did not need to see it whatsoever. Felt like a waste of time. Then we had Willow Nightingale beating Julia Hart to become the new TBS champion, which I did predict. I predicted most of this pay-per-view, guys. I called pretty much every match except Swerve winning. I didn't see that one coming. I thought they would keep Joe as champion. But I believe on the preview show I did Friday that I predicted every match correctly. House of Black, I said, would win. Okada, I said, would win. Willow, I said, would be new champion. Roderick Strong, I said, would beat O'Reilly. Chris Jericho, I said I would beat Hook. Tony Storm, I predicted everything. So I wasn't surprised until the end. And it was a cool finish. Willow Nightingale beats Julia Hart, and then, of course, Sasha Banks shows up, and Sasha Banks, also known as Mercedes Moné, will now wrestle Willow Nightingale at Double or Nothing in May. And we knew that Willow was going to win the title because Sasha and Willow have this history. Last time Sasha wrestled was in Japan, and she got hurt in a match with Willow, and she lost to Willow. And Sasha had said, I'm facing the winner of this TBS title match at Double or Nothing. So you're like, okay, it's going to be Willow. And then Willow won the title. Did she win the title just to drop it to Sasha next month? I'd say yes. How do you have Sasha Banks lose her first match in AEW? This is going to be her first match on pay-per-view for a belt. She's got to win. So basically, you gave Willow a belt just to flip it to Sasha. People aren't so impressed with Sasha these days. Wait till you see her in the ring. Wait till she has a match at Double or Nothing. Everybody will be happy with Sasha again. Everybody will be a big fan. Everybody will be pleased. But right now, you're seeing her dancing, you're seeing her talking, and you're kind of like, but is that it? People have forgotten. People have short memories. Sasha is an amazing wrestler, and once she gets into the ring, she will wow the crowds. She's great. And yes, I will keep calling her Sasha Banks. It is what it is. Roderick Strong beat Kyle O'Reilly via pinfall after his End of Heartache finish. Wardlow kind of tried to interfere at one point, but the ref just caught him. Wardlow just looking like a sad man at ringside. I don't know what the hell that was. I don't like it. Adam Cole, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett came out after the match to celebrate with Strong. Cole got out of his wheelchair to walk to the ring, and he did seem mad at Wardlow. I think there's like friction there. Wardlow and Adam Cole are not happy with each other because Wardlow didn't win the AEW title like he was supposed to, so Cole thinks he's like a jabroni. I don't know. I guess Wardlow's going to turn on Adam Cole at some point. I could not care less about any of that stuff. The match with Strong and O'Reilly was just, it was there. Didn't need it. The Adam Cole, Wardlow drama, don't need it. Unnecessary. Wardlow realizing he's a jabroni. Exactly. Maybe that's it. He's like, I'm never going to be champion in this company. WWE is not really interested. Damn. I thought I was something there. I thought I was going to be the next Batista. I may be what's going on with Wardlow. I don't know. Jimmy James says the bastard rarely disappoints. Yes, Pac and Okada barely disappoint. Though that match was great. Doug Hepburn says Pac Okada was hard-hitting, looked real. Indeed. Ryan Katz says Matt Hardy talks about WWE the day after he appears at TNA Rebellion. Is Matt Hardy talking about WWE? I know Matt Hardy was at TNA over the weekend. And yes, Angelo, I did see TNA Wrestling is doing Slammiversary in Montreal. Slammiversary is like a big TNA show. They're doing it in Montreal at the Verdun Auditorium on July 20th, which is kind of cool. And I think it's going to be a big main event featuring Speedball Mike Bailey, so that'll be good. Mike Bailey, Montreal talent, big TNA Impact star. I would bet that maybe that's the night he wins the Impact World title, the TNA Wrestling Championship. Would be cool for Mike Bailey to win it at Slammiversary in his hometown. I could see it happening. I am very excited that TNA is doing Slammiversary here in Montreal. It's a big move for them. And a cool move for Montreal Wrestling as well, getting Slammiversary. That's fun. Chris Jericho beat Hook. Jericho was beating up Hook quite a bit, hitting him with elbows and, the Judas Effect elbow, and Hook kept kicking out, and Jericho said, stay down, and I'm sorry I have to do this to you. He's trying to teach him a lesson, and then he hit him with a baseball bat, and that was the end of it. And he pinned him, and now Chris Jericho is the new FTW champion. Taz was on commentary for this, watching his son lose, watching his son get beat up by Jericho. Taz told Jericho to leave, to get out of there. Jericho just left, was like, I'm sorry, Taz. Just trying to help your son. I like him too. He told Hook, it's going to hurt me more than it hurts you. It's a weird story. I don't think it's doing anybody any favors. It's making Hook like just kind of this dumb kid, jabroni. And it's making Jericho just look like a shitty old man. Just like a mean old man. It makes him seem older than he is somehow. I don't know. Just in comparison to Hook, he seems just ridiculously old and uncool. Hook saying bet or something, and Jericho's like trying to use the language of Hook, and he's coming off real weird and old when he's doing it. It's not making Jericho look good. Makes Jericho look weird. Makes Hook look like a kid. It's not working. The juxtaposition of Jericho and Hook is just odd. In comparison, they both look more, Jericho looks older in comparison to Hook, and Hook looks so young in comparison to Jericho that you can't really take either of them seriously in a wrestling context at this point. So the match was what it was, but it dragged. It wasn't that bad, but I just don't really love the story and all the drama that Jericho was doing with Hook. I'm just like, I don't care about this. Kill Hook if you want. I'm fine with it, Mr. Jericho. I like you. I don't really care about Hook. I don't like it. Doug Hepburn said crowd was rough on Jericho. Yeah, the crowd is just mean to Jericho, too. He's a heel, though, in this instance, so I guess it's fine. But they were just singing Go Home, Jericho. I don't know. The guy's a legend. I got respect for him. But AEW crowds are kind of mean to him. He represents things they don't like. Oh, well. Toni Storm beat Thunder Rosa. Pretty good match here. Mariah May got on the apron. Deonna Purrazzo came out, fought to the back with her, which distracted Thunder Rosa. She took a suplex, the running butt move from Toni, and then the Storm Zero pile driver, and I thought that was over, but Thunder kicked out at 2. A very good false finish there. Toni put a submission move on Thunder, but then Thunder grabbed the ropes, and then Thunder put this kind of choke thing, Cobra clutch on Toni that the commentary team didn't seem to know what to call it. They were very confused by the submission move, but it was leading to the finish because Toni Storm then went under the ropes, grabbed the apron, kind of pulled the apron up. The referee broke the hold. Then the referee went to fix the apron. Toni Storm kicked Thunder Rosa low, gave her a low blow kick to, her gimmick, and then hit the Storm Zero and pinned her 1-2-3 to retain the AEW Women's title. It was a fun little finish there from Toni Storm, cheating to win in a very good match with the former champion Thunder Rosa. Very good match. This one exceeded my expectations. This was awesome. Awesome match. Toni Storm's been a great champion, and I'm very happy that they've stuck with her. And now they're going to have a very big match for Toni Storm because they informed Toni and the rest of the world that Mariah May has won all her matches and has worked her way up to becoming the number 1 contender for the AEW Women's World title. So her sidekick and the one that idolizes Toni, Mariah may be the one coming after her next. So that's fun story stuff going forward for AEW. And the match with Thunder was great. I don't know where Thunder goes from here. I think Britt Baker is going to be an opponent for Toni Storm down the road. It feels like when Britt comes back, that's the match to make. If Britt comes back, hopefully she's back soon. But I would do Britt Baker, Toni Storm as soon as you can. And maybe have Toni win, or maybe have Britt win, and then you go from there and you see what you do. There are many options. But it seems like Toni is going through everybody now in the AEW Women's division, and the only one she hasn't gone through, the only big star she hasn't gone through would be the DMD Britt Baker, who has been the biggest star in the AEW Women's division despite, whoever they've brought in. Britt Baker is still kind of the top dog. I mean, they got Sasha Banks now, they got Toni Storm, they got Paige, but Britt Baker is still kind of the number 1 in that division, I would think. For AEW fans, I think she's the most kind of beloved. Kyle Salisbury says Jericho taking a break seems fitting. Then he can come back and either be a heel, saying it has sucked without me, or his gimmick where he's back to save AEW, but this time he just jobs out. Is he taking a break? He won the FTW title. I think he's staying around. I don't think Jericho's going anywhere. Yeah. Young Bucks, of course, new AEW Tag Team Champions, and the new AEW World Champion. Whose house? Swerve's house. Swerve Strickland becomes the new AEW World Champion, beating Samoa Joe. Happy for Swerve. I like Swerve. I think he's a talented guy. And we'll see where this title run goes. I think there are a lot of options. You could throw a great number of people at Swerve. You could keep him a babyface. You could switch him back heel very easily. Where's MJF? He's always an option. I think it's a matter of time before Will Ospreay comes calling for that AEW World Championship. But of course, I think the immediate future, Hangman Page for Swerve at some point. That's not over. Maybe Jon Moxley gets involved, although he's the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. I don't think he's going to get involved with the AEW World title, but there are options out there for Swerve. Joe could come back, look for a rematch, a double or nothing, maybe a gimmick match. I could see that. I could see Joe and Swerve at double or nothing in a dog collar match, steel cage match, something like that. I could see that. Last man standing. If Kenny can get healthy, Kenny and Swerve for the title would be massive. A lot of good options for Swerve Strickland in the AEW World Championship right now. I like that AEW has gone with a fresh champion, a new champion, a guy that hasn't been tested at a main event level in any other company but AEW. He feels like a homegrown star, even though we have seen him in the WWE before. It wasn't in a major role. This is a major role. This is a different character. This Swerve is a different character. And it's a character that's been created and grown and nurtured in AEW, and now he's the world champion, and it's fantastic. He's a really fun champion because it's fresh, it's new, and there are a ton of possible opponents out there for him. So I'm happy to see Swerve win the world title. I think Joe held it admirably for about 100 days. He brought it to where it needed to be. He took it from MJF back in December and held it all the way here till April 21st to drop it to Swerve. Who was the guy that needed to hold it right now? How long he holds it for, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a long stretch.
Super chat.
I don't think Swerve, I'll put it this way. I don't think Swerve ends the year as AEW World Champion. I don't think he starts 2025, January 1. I don't think Swerve is champion. Now, he may hold it till December at World's End. He may. Maybe that's when MJF comes back. A year later, takes the belt back, and then we're off and running with MJF in 2025. Maybe. But I don't think Swerve's going to hold it for a year. I don't think he's still champion next year at Dynasty. I think he probably holds it for a few months. They're not going to give him a 3-day run. He's not dropping it Wednesday night. But I could see this going till maybe the fall, early winter. If he has a great run, he holds it to December and drops it in December, which is a pretty solid run. And I think he'll have good matches on his way there. So congratulations to Swerve, a deserving champion, a guy that I think a lot of wrestling fans are happy for. They're rooting for him. They want to see him on top. They want to see AEW give this guy a chance and see where he goes. Give him the ball, let him run with it. And I am in agreement with that theory. I think that works. Young Bucks, new AEW Tag Team Champion. Swerve Strickland, new AEW World Champion. Willow Nightingale, new TBS Champion. 3 new champions coming out of AEW Dynasty. Once again, Bryan Danielson, Will Ospreay, MVPs of the night. They had match of the night. They were unbelievable. Going to be hard to top for match of the year. And, of course, 8.5 on 10 for me on this pay-per-view. Very good. Very good. Doug Hepburn dropping the super chat. 2 super chats. The first one was a thumbs up. The second one was, Shid forgot to ask for impersonation. Well, I don't know who you want me to impersonate, Doug. You didn't ask. Doug says, thanks for the Monday treat, Dave. All day looked forward to Tigers on mute listening to you. By the way, Tigers 3, Tampa 0. Oh, okay. Well, go Tigers. I know the Tigers are doing really well this year, right? Although I think the Guardians have overtaken them in the Central. Yankees dropped 2-0 to the A's today, which sucked. So I watched that game. That was a real disappointment. Yankees still... Oh, jeez. For the first time now, Yankees are tied for first place with Baltimore. Well, that sucks. Yankees have been in first place all year, and now Baltimore are tied. Yankees 15-8, Baltimore 14-7. So, still though. Tampa last place in the AL East, 12-11. Imagine being last place in the AL East and still having a over 500 record. Last place in the AL Central, the 3-18 Chicago White Sox. Crazy. Guardians 16-6. Ooh, the Tigers have dropped to 12-10. Not so good, Doug. Not so good. 12-10 is not so good. 12-10 is 4th place in the AL East. That's the Blue Jays record. Come on, Doug. You got to be better than the Blue Jays. You're 3rd place in the Central right now, Doug. That's no good. I'm pissed that the Yankees are tied for 1st. You're in 3rd place right now. Come on, man. Come on, man. Hey, Doug, this is Triple H, the game, telling you the Tigers suck, and the Tigers can suck it. That's for you. That's for you, Doug. Yeah, Angelo, I saw that too. That was bananas. I think I retweeted that. Maybe you saw that on my Twitter feed today, Angelo. The umpire, Aaron Boone, said something about a ball and strike to an umpire. He did kind of yell at him. And then the umpire's like, one more word out of you, and you're going to get tossed, you. And then Aaron Boone's like, all right. And then you see the camera on Boone. He's just standing there. And the umpire's, that's it, you're out of here. The umpire ejected Aaron Boone for something the fan behind Aaron Boone said. The Yankees manager got ejected today by an umpire because of something the fan said. I've never seen that in my life. These umpires this year, they need to be checked. They're out to lunch. Some of these balls and strikes that I've been seeing called are outrageous. Some of these calls that I've seen from these umpires are terrible. Umping is at an all-time low. What is happening? The ump tossed Boone today. Toss in my Booney. He didn't even say anything. Now, Booney gets tossed quite a bit, so I get that the umpire maybe had an itchy trigger finger with Aaron Boone. Nevertheless, it was the fan. It was not the manager of the Yankees. However, the manager of the Yankees got ejected. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right. You know what I'm talking about? Baseball. The wrestling show's over. Thanks, guys, for joining me. Thank you, Doug. You're the Super Chat leader of the night. Thank you to all the members for checking in here tonight. Angelo Contagones, Doug Hepburn, Kyle Salisbury, Patrick Deneau, who supports us over at membership.ringsidereport.net. Membership.ringsidereport.net is where you want to go to support the team, or join.ringsidereport.net. Join.ringsidereport.net. And, of course, go to ringsidereport.net, the official online home for everything Ringside Report, MMA, and professional wrestling. We've got all sorts of news and notes and stories about pro wrestling and MMA exclusive to ringsidereport.net. Go there right now. It is the #1 website for everything MMA and pro wrestling. It's ringsidereport.net. I'll be back here Thursday night at 8 p.m. for Ringside Report MMA with Freddie and AJ, and then Johnny North will make his long-awaited return to the Ringside Report Network with Wrestling Uncensored this Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right after SmackDown, where we will see night one of the draft. The WWE Draft starts this Friday night on SmackDown in Cincinnati, and we will recap all the action coming up Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Ringside Report Network. And as we wrap up, Angelo Contagones dropping the Super Chat to take the lead. You are the new Super Chat leader of the night, taking over from Doug. Thank you, Angelo. Thank you, Doug. Thank you to everybody supporting the Ringside Report Network and watching here tonight on a Monday. Appreciate you joining us for this AEW Dynasty post-show on the Ringside Report Network. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word.
You know the drill. Hit that subscribe button. Flip those notification switches.
We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at ringsidereport.net. Hope to see you again next time, and have a good night.